Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Thursday. It is November 30th. This will be our chart lesson for today, and this will wrap it up for the week. No chart lessons on Fridays. Uh, Man, what a market today, though. That's all I can say is that we just pushed through 2600 a couple of days ago, and we're already halfway. Have gotten more than halfway to almost 60% through to the 2700 level. So just when you think this market's dead, that's when it kind of takes off. So um, you just really can't underestimate this market. So, but really, a pretty incredible day. Um, First thing I would have looked for after this first leg, you can see here's your first leg, and then once we started up your second leg. So I was looking for a target in here. We actually overdid that a bit. It looks like we actually had a two-tiered channel that worked up here. This channel didn't help you a whole lot, really. The only thing it did was find you this target up here. If you get the measured move from here to here, um, that would have given you a perfect target, a place to exit up here. I really think it's dangerous entering up here. Uh, there's a couple of possibilities here. I'll talk about them when we get to them. But I'm going to go ahead and get to the trades because I have a meeting here in a little bit, and so I want to try to spend a little time on this chart lesson and go through the trades pretty closely. So I'm going to get going and try to go through it as quickly as I can. Um, when I came in, we were just had a continuation of yesterday's strong trend, and that still looks like a very strong trend. Um, Notice that you're just bouncing off this trend line around the 7 o'clock hour. You actually get a little pullback right here that bounces. The only reason I made this one green, I mean, on a day like this, when you got these strong trends that look like this that we talked about yesterday, when there's lots of little bars, they just keep going up and up and up. Just about every correction, if you want to get in a trade, you have to buy it. And you just can't be real picky. But this one I was not sure because we had that high and we had a little pullback here. So you got to go long right into that high, right into the high of the overnight, the whole bit. But this is a strong trend. And if you want to enter, that's probably what you're going to get because there's not that many correct, especially when you're crawling up the trend line. You're not going to get a much bigger correction unless you get a break of the trend. So, um, but it is a little risky there, so I marked that one in green. But notice what happens if you just waited. You get a little failed second entry short right here. I like it better when it's off the EMA, but this is a strong trend, like we said. So I marked this one blue because you're probably going to have some people really top picking up here. And if it goes higher from here, you're probably going to get an easy scalp, maybe more. And of course you do. You actually, this thing went up maybe 3 or 4 points here. So that was an easy, nice trade. And you might have got a little bit of a runner out of it. You don't catch the big runner of the day, but you still might have got a runner. So, and then of course you get a two-legged correction. This is a little channel working up here. You get a close outside and you get a move to a new low. And that's really a two-legged correction. And a lot of times that's the center of your pattern. And you'll probably get another leg similar to that. And so I like this one just because it's a second entry long. You've got a break here, a move to a new low. And so you probably could go, you still hadn't made a new high here yet. As strong as that trend was, I would figure you're probably going to get at least a move up to a new high before you get any kind of correction. And that's what happened here. And then you finally get your failed second entry short here, and it's very similar. It's just a repeat of this over here. And you figure here you'll probably push up to a new high. So I like this. I really thought we'd go on higher here, but it doesn't. It makes a new high, and then we get another little bit of a correction. But notice here, it's still making a higher high and a higher low before it goes higher again. So that's a good sign. I'm a little bit, there's actually a failed second entry long right here. We're just kind of going sideways, so it's kind of dangerous to enter either long or short in that, but you've got a little trend working down and you get that failed second entry long, and then this big bear, it actually went higher first and then turns and goes out the other side. That's a big, huge bearish bar. You're probably going to run some people that are trapped out. So, but I'm not crazy about shorting this market as strong as it's been. Um, really with some sideways action. So I marked that one green, but it does fit our criteria. So if you want to be aggressive, it would have worked. So I marked it, but I'm not crazy about it. So, but guess what? You got your closeout side moved to a new low, and then it bounces, it pushes up through the EMA, pulls back, and gives you a higher low right there and a nice bullish bar. And the reason I like this one is it's a repeat pattern of this. And you could almost argue for this to be blue, but I'd still like to wait on the failed second entry short. And unfortunately, that doesn't come till up here. And then you're right into the upper side of that channel, and you're way away from the EMA. You're not off this trend line. So I just didn't feel like you could enter these. And then there's another second entry long right here. It's not a textbook one, but it's still a second entry long. But your signal bar is a doji. That's so this is sideways, so I don't think you want to enter there either. There's a lower high right here. It doesn't break lower, but again, going long right there. After we've already had a break of this and a couple of legs up, they're just not good entries. I think they're risky. They would have all worked, and that's the way it generally is on a strong trend day. So you got to be real careful with that. But anyway, it does correct finally. You get a close outside and a couple of pushes to a new low, and this is really sideways stuff again, and this is like a little breakout pullback long, and this gets the trend going after you've had a break of this and a move to a new low. And at this point, I'm really looking for, here's your first leg. Now I'm looking for a measured leg from there. So guess where that puts you? Right up here at the same spot. And generally when you get more than two measurements that show you the same general location, that's probably where you're headed. So if you catch this one, you catch a runner, and you can ride this all the way up. This was this actually was too steep right here, and I don't have it on here, but this actually is just kind of folds over to a little less not so steep trend, because this is just too steep, and this is even a little bit too steep right here. But this would have helped you maybe to enter one of these other trades. I still think it's risky. I went ahead and marked this one because this is your true failed second entry short here. Notice your new low, and then your first entry, and then your second entry. So, but you got to go long at the high of the day. But at this point, you should have been thinking too, hey, now if we continue higher because of this measurement here, you just get them equal distance, and that would be your next target. And look, that's exactly where we go. It pushes even a little higher than that. It doesn't close above that. It closes perfect with that, and then it starts selling off. So, but now you've got your two legs up. You've gone much further. And again, you could probably argue to enter on any of these bullish bars that pull back to the trend line here. I'm not going to mark them, because especially at this point when we've been away from the EMA for so long, since 10:30 or so, and here it is an hour later, and we still haven't come back to the EMA. We're way overdue, and you see it didn't take long when it finally got to where it was going. You got to figure out where our price is going, so you look for these measured moves. If you've got a channel, you look for maybe an equal distance of what your original channel was, and that got you right to the perfect target. Look at this. This is a good signal that we're reversing. Notice how it finally comes back, and it goes right through the EMA. It pulls up, makes a lower high, then shoots back down and comes back and makes that failed second entry long. I like going short right there. And that was a nice, easy move. And then we come back to that trend line and EMA again, and you get another fairly nice bearish bar. This actually makes a little higher high here, so your stop would have to go above that, your safety stop. But I still like entering below that bar right there. And off it goes, and you would have got a runner off that one, and you could have ridden this. And then we finally get a little overshoot here, and then you correct, you get a first entry up, and then a second entry, and and with this overshoot, you'd expect we probably get one on the other side. So you get your first break, second entry short there. You got plenty of room to get out before this low. And it turns out that you would have had a runner there and you could have ridden that one all the way down. I really thought we'd go all the way back down to the trend line, but notice you do have a close and a new low, and then it tries to go higher again before it does finally sell off. And but this is after 2 o'clock. I didn't mark anything. So it was all uphill till about lunchtime. And then after lunchtime, and what you have to do when you have a strong trend like this, when you finally do get a reversal, you want to make sure you got a confirmed trend in the other direction, and you didn't get that till right here. When you got that third touch of that trend line, that's when you got a confirmed trend in the other direction. And so that's why that's the first one you can go short on. And then generally I'd want to wait on the second entry here, but this channel, when it turned right here on a perfect measured move up, I felt pretty confident that, hey, we're coming back at least to the midline, and we may go all the way down to the original trend line, which we did. And notice what it did here. It pushed on through that midline. It comes back and tests it, and then it comes back and gives it another test, and then it comes back and gives it yet one more third test before it finally goes lower. And that's pretty standard. You will generally, when you push through, if you shoot right through like here, it's going to come back at some point and test it, and that's what it looks like it's doing here, but it didn't hold. It just kept on through. So generally prices don't just shoot through. Even here when it came through, it pulled back and tested it before going higher. And you'll see that quite a bit. And just like when you push through the EMA, it came back a couple of times and tested it before it continues on. Same thing with the EMA. So yeah, nice strong trend, and really on this way up. Once these little trends get going up these trend lines, if you don't buy, you won't get any real steep pullbacks. You just got to buy. And the only time you really got any sell-off was when the little trends were over or had overplayed themselves. So you just can't dilly-dally around with them, and you can't be so choosy. When we're going sideways or you're swinging back and forth above and below the EMA, then maybe you get a little more choosy, like right through here. But once you get on these things going up, and especially down here up, when that was a continuation from yesterday, you just have to take what it gives you, or you don't find anything. So some people will find these days hard, but if you learn to spot these days, and again, the key is the trend lines that just keep holding prices, and all the little bars. See how small all the bars are? And there's lots of dojis mixed in there, and any correction is just a tick or two in most cases. You don't really get anything. Notice you only get a couple of ticks, couple of ticks, couple of ticks, and it sells off. And then you start up and you get a little couple of ticks, one tick. We could even break lower here, and then you get a correction. And same thing down here when we're going up, you got a little correction here. And once you get back to the trend line, just a couple of ticks, a tick. You just don't get very big corrections. And so when you get a little correction and it's off of key entry point of a trend line, just don't argue with it. Just take the thing. And most of these bars are relatively small anyway, so you're probably not going to give up. Even if you do happen to be wrong, you're not going to give up much. So keep that in mind as well. But you could really argue for these to be blue if you wanted, but I just got a little leery of them since we actually had a break of this and now a couple of legs up, especially when your measured move was right in this area. So you could get trapped here if you're not careful. So, but at the same time, because of the type day it is, you got one little pullback there, went lower and then turned and went back up. You could have entered right there. You could have entered there. Here's a little pullback. This is just a slight correction. You could have entered there. And notice right here, when it came back to the trend line, it pushed right on through this time. So any of the ones that came back to the trend line from here all the way to here would have worked. Same thing down here from 7 o'clock on. Anyone that came back and broke higher at the trend line would have worked, because here it didn't You didn't get any entry at the trend line, so you know not to enter there. Same thing here. Here's the only one that actually the trend line was here. Let me make that a little bigger just so I can show you that since I'm talking about it. But notice this one broke higher, but it wasn't at the trend line and it didn't tick backwards either. So once again, it shot right down and you wouldn't have got a fake off the trend line. Same thing going up here. Corrections here and here. This is the only one off the trend line and this one, and they would have both worked. So keep that in mind. But yeah, I'm going to wrap it up. This is going to do it for the week. I hope you had a good trading week. I hope you had a good trading day. Hopefully you caught a runner or at least got a few trades today. If you didn't study these charts, what the things I just talked about, how to recognize these real strong trends and how to find these real tight channels and so forth. But we'll be back again to do it Monday, but I'm going to wrap it up for today. And I'm out of here. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.